AI trades being tested in a big way, tariff turmoil, fiscal concern freakout. Now this Middle East story. Which one has the biggest weight in your mind when you're watching Asia markets?
Well, I think you probably rated in the right ranking. I would say tariffs still are the forefront of market considerations because, of course, the implications across the globe. So it's US and the partners. And then you have fiscal policies. But fiscal policy have not just been negative, they've been positive as well. If you look at the monumental shift in Europe that has happened, and again, this has been a catalyst of all the coupling, if you might say, of US and Europe, and certainly has shifted the narrative around European assets quite significantly. Then, of course, you have China that is simmering in the background. They haven't changed their stance on fiscal, but certainly the fiscal injection is present. The fiscal is going in certain parts of the economy, which will have positive repercussions on certain sectors, right? And then certainly geopolitics is a part that we need to monitor. But again, we need to look at it in the scope of how will it impact the macroeconomic, how will it impact the numbers, how will it impact the inflation. Again, a prolonged and escalation of the conflict that can have implications on oil price for longer term, and that have a consequence on inflation and a prolonged kind of a higher level of oil prices will certainly have implications of macroeconomics and certainly on reaction to the market. Yeah.
Ecaterina, Martin here. Let me quickly jump in. I got to say, I'm scratching my head here, right? Because we're into day 3 of this conflict. It's escalating. It's not stopping. They're continuing to fire missiles and drones at each other, right? Yet, and we had a drawdown on Wall Street Friday. Yet today, this morning, we've got futures just in the last couple hours or so. They've turned around. They're actually positive in Asian markets, barring some of the smaller secondary ones like Singapore, Malaysia, Taiwan, etc. The big markets are actually pretty positive. If we could flip the charts and give you a look at what's going on in Japan, for example, the Nikkei 225, that's up at around session highs. I am scratching my head, Ecaterina, trying to figure out why that is. Do you have any sort of easy or simple answer to that?
No, I think this is slightly different to previous conflicts. You might say that I think there's a bigger desire to have a positive resolution, or more, I would say more conducive resolution of this conflict between all the partners, China, US, the Middle East. Certainly would love to see a better resolution, a positive resolution of the conflict. And I think that's different to the 10 years ago, where you would have practically seen other parties getting involved in a conflict. For the time being, it's isolated. And I would say as soon as it stays isolated and contained, I think will be singled out and, again, observed by the markets. But it will have probably somewhat contained repercussions on the macroeconomic picture for the global markets.